Cotton is one of the major cellulosic fibers that are used for the apparels today in large variety and also the quality. It is a seed hair fiber taken from the plant which belongs to Malvaceae family and also class Gossypium. Number of varieties of Gossypium present, like Gossypium hirsutum, Gossypium arboreum and barbadens, etc., and which yield different types of cotton fibers. Actually, origin of cotton is not known to anybody, but evidences of this existence of cotton is available from the archaeological sources, that it existed in Egypt 12,000 BC, and also in India they say that Indians grew cotton as early as 3000 BC, and also India was one of the countries which produced cotton in large quantities and also exported to other countries. Peru is also another country and which grew cotton as early as 2500 BC. Actually, the word cotton is derived from the Arabic word cotton or cotton, and which means that a plant that is grown in conquered land. There are many varieties of cotton that is available today throughout the world, and we find that long staple fibers are available from the western countries. They are the native cottons of those countries, and in India we find that shorter varieties are there. Usually longer varieties are very fine and shorter varieties are little thick or coarser. Now world is producing varieties of cotton which are hybrid, and they get the fine fleece from the cotton plants. In India also now hybrid varieties of cotton are available, and due to the research that has happened in most of the agriculture universities, and you find that there are varieties now available to the farmer for cultivation for long fleece cottons. But actually Egypt is known for very good and very fine cotton, and thus even today we use that word Egyptian cotton to indicate the quality of cotton. As per the recent reports of Directorate of Economics and Statistics, Ministry of Agriculture, that is 2012 and 13, cotton is being cultivated around 116.14 lakh hectares of land in India and producing around 334 lakh bales of cotton, and the average yield is around 489 kgs per hectare. And cotton is grown in 10 major states in India, and they are Gujarat, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh, Punjab, Rajasthan, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Orissa. And cotton has gained a significant status in the total textile production in India by contributing around 62% of fiber production, 52% of yarn production and around 47% of fabric production over the total textile production in India. Then coming to the cultivation of cotton, how it can be cultivated. Cotton is cultivated in a warm humid climate and also in a black soil. Black soil is important because it can hold water. So irrigation is very important for cotton, and usually the cotton seeds are sown in the fields around 3 to 4 feet away from each other in parallel rows. And then the plant grows around 80 to 100 days, and then it starts blossoming. While it blossoms, the white creamy flower comes out, and it turns to pink within a day. And later it takes around 50 to 80 days in order to get the pods, the fully matured pods and the plants. And these matured pods burst open and showing the fleece outside. That is the cotton which is required for us. Now this cotton is around the seed. It is like an outgrowth for the seed. We can say that as many as 4,000 hairs may be present in each seed. That means cotton fibers are there, And but in fine varieties you can even find around 20,000 fibers in each seed. That means that the cotton is very fine, we can say, and it is very difficult actually to see it the naked eye, and sometimes it is very difficult to work with single fiber. And of course, people have done experiments on single fibers, and that is how we are able to actually come out with the secrets of this cotton fiber. And actually here, this is a very crucial point to take out to harvest the cotton from that. We call it as cotton picking. Is an important activity in the cultivation, because the quality of the cotton depends upon how well you pick up. Usually in countries like India, where there is a labor intensive, they do it by hand picking. But in western countries where labor is a very much problem, they go for machinery. And when you pick up with the hand, there are some problems that are associated. One is that, if it only the cotton is picked up, it's okay. Sometimes what happens is they pick up the whole pod, and along with its dried leaves and other things, the birds and other things come out, and it's really a problem when this is put up into the cotton. But when they pick up only the fleece, then the impurities are going to be very less. Otherwise, impurities will increase, and then that will create a problem, and then the quality of the cotton comes down and the farmer will be at loss. And so, the cotton picking is an important and crucial activity during the cultivation, and if it is done by the very expert people, then it will be very good. And so, once it is picked up, and it will be sent to a ginning mill, where ginning machines are there. Ginning machine is invented by Whitney in 1794. This ginning machine have a sawtoothed bands, which are revolving and which can remove the fleece from the seed, and then it separates the seed. And then a trash will also be collected by this particular mill. That means that it partially removes most of the impurities that are seen with the naked eye. And later it is baled and then sent it to the spinning mill. Where further removal of the impurities takes place, and the fiber is also made parallel to each other, and then you get it, it is spun, and we get it in the form of a yarn. That is how the cultivation of cotton takes place in the field as well as in the industries. Coming to the properties of cotton fiber, first of all we will see how is the structure of this cotton fiber and also the composition. So, cotton is a cellulosic seed fiber. It is a hair that is coming from the seed, and it starts like in a small outgrowth at the seed level, and then it grows longer and tapers to other edge. So, when it is removed from the seed, it has a thicker base and a tapered edge to the other side. And the length of the usable cotton is around ½ inch to 2.5 inches. The fiber which is available below half inch is not being used for the textile purposes, and these are called noils. These noils are not used for the textile purpose, they are used for again for making of some of the napkins and other things which are non-woven. This fiber, which is 2.5 inches size, something like this, and when you see it under microscope, it looks like a ribbon, flat ribbon, and it has a natural twist there, and which we call it as convolutions. And these natural twists are formed when the fiber, when it exposed to the outside climate, the cell sap which is present, gets dried up, and then it forms like a flat ribbon, and the flat ribbons will become easily twisted. That is what is the twist, that is natural twist present in these cotton fibers. And the diameter of the cotton may range from 12 to 20 microns. And then when you take it, the cotton structure, it has a cuticle outside like any other plant cell, and it has a primary wall and the secondary wall. Usually primary wall does not contain much of the things, it is a very thin one, and whatever cellulosic content that is present, it is present in the secondary wall. And also it has a central void which is called as a lumen. This lumen for the matured fibers will be reduced to like a, we can see like a line, it is a very narrow, and for immature fibers we find that is the most, that is a bigger one, and so the other things are seen, a small amount of cellulose is present on either side. The secondary wall and the primary wall are reduced to a line shape. Immature fibers are not very good. Whenever we see the quality of the fiber, you have to see that the mature fiber should be more than the immature fibers, then only we can say that it is having a good quality. When you take the cellulose content in this material, and this is around 65 to 70% crystalline, that means molecules are formed in the form of crystals, and only around 30 to 35% is amorphous. That means that the cotton is mostly crystalline and not easy fiber, and so it is also called as a tough fiber, and the toughness sometimes gives it strength and also the abrasion resistance. The cross sectional shape of the fiber is like a kidney, because it is a flat ribbon, and what happens, whichever is a little dried one, dried any leaf or anything which when we take, and it gets twisted on either side, and so that kind of shape is there, and so it resembles a kidney. So that we can see that the fiber becomes more reactive at the places where it is exposed, that means in the central portion becomes more reactive, because it is exposed to chemicals or any sort of physical deteriorations. Coming to the physical properties of cotton fiber, we have to start about the strength. Cotton is having a medium strength, we can say, because it is partially crystalline and partially amorphous. So, it contributes to medium strength, like we have around 3 to 5 grams per denier strength we can see in cotton fiber. The outstanding property of this cotton is that it gains strength when wet, but all other fibers lose strength when they are wet. But this is one of the outstanding qualities of cotton, which is very important to the consumer, just because we need not take that much care when compared to other fibers in washing of these fabrics. That means that in water it will not lose strength. So, we can use a kind of friction while washing, so that nothing happens to this fabric. And so, the cotton we can increase even the strength by through mercerization and other kind of finishes that are given to cotton fiber. Then coming to the elasticity, the fiber is having medium elasticity, around 3 to 7% depending upon the type of variety of cotton that is being taken. But the elastic recovery, when we talk about elasticity, elongation is there, elastic recovery is there. But when you take a textile, both are very, very important, because we need to have stretch, that means the fiber has to stretch, at the same time it has to come back when the stretch is removed, when the tension is removed, it should come back to its position. But cotton fiber lacks this condition, that means that at 2% elongation it comes back to only 75%, and if you go beyond that around 5% elongation, it reduces by elasticity by, that means elastic recovery, by only 50%. And so, we have to take care of this one, unless you wash again and then iron it, and it will not come back to its position. When you talk it resiliency is not very good, and so the wrinkles appear on this material, and thus when wrinkles appear, you have to wash it, or you have to sprinkle water and then iron it, then only it is going to come back its position, and then it will give a neat edge to the materials. Coming to the moisture regain and or otherwise absorbency of this fiber, we can say that cotton is having medium absorbency when compared to silk and wool and other fibers like jute and all. It is not that absorbent, but it has an absorbency which is required for the especially for this apparel fabrics. It is having 8.5% regain. When we talk about regain, that means that it is the percentage of moisture that it can take up by a bone dry fiber. In bone dry condition, it can take up a regain of 8.5%. And when we take the fiber, it is also hygroscopic. We say that hydrophilic and hygroscopic. Hygroscopic means it is able to absorb water in the form of water vapor. The moisture is in the form of water vapor in the outside atmosphere. It will be able to take it up, and thus when a consumer wears that particular material, it is going to be very comfortable. Thus it will take up the sweat also from the body, and it keeps the wearer comfortable. When we take the dimensional stability, that means that people say that it shrinks, but as such, when you take the fiber does not have any shrinkage. But when the fabric is made out of it, the fabric, when it stretches on the loom, and also when some of these finishes are given to this material, it will be under constant tension. So, when first you take it and when you use it, and then first when you put it in water, there may be little shrinkage in this found, and then once it shrinks, that there may not be much shrinkage later, because the fiber has no shrinkage. And so, sometimes some of the finishes are given to pre-treat the material. That means it given some compressional shrinkage, and thus when it comes to the market, and we can use it without any problem. The consumer need not bother about looking at it, this particular thing. So, we call it as usually as a dimensional stability of the fabric. The abrasion resistance of the fabric is also medium. That means that when it is rubbed against itself or rubbed against some other surface, it gets abraded. So, that abrasion, the resistance against that is medium, and definitely for ordinary usage at home, and it is okay, because it is also a fabric used for the home textiles. And then coming to the thermal properties. One thing for all of us are sure that it has a very good heat conductivity. That means that the heat that is coming out from the body due to the metabolism should be dissipated into the atmosphere. Otherwise, if it stays inside, and then it will be very uncomfortable to the wearer. And so, a fabric should not become a barrier, but it should be a conductor. Thus, cotton fiber conducts away the heat very well, and thus making the wearer very comfortable. Actually, coupled with its absorbency, cotton becomes the best fabric to be used in summer in climates like our country, where it is humid and warm. And then when you take the cotton fiber and when you take it nearer the flame, it takes up the fire when you keep it in the fire easily, but it continues to burn for a long time, even after removing from the flame, because it can support the combustion. When it is burnt, it gives, while burning, it gives actually the paper burnt smell, and also it gives a fluffy ash. Then the cotton fiber is not usually thermoplastic. That means that it is not heat sensitive. When you take it near flame, it does not come out. That means that it is not like other synthetic fibers which will melt away with the heat, but it scorches at a high temperature of 250 degrees centigrade. Usually, as a consumers, we will never go to that temperature, and ironing is usually done 150 200 below only, and so there will not be any problem for this fabric. Cotton is a good conductor of electricity. It conducts away the electricity that is produced on the fabric. All of us know that electricity is being generated when the fabric is rubbed against itself or some other object, and that electricity will be there on the surface of the fabric. And if it has a good conductivity, then that means that it dissipates that electricity produced into the atmosphere. But whereas if it is not a good conductor, like you have polyester, you have nylon and other materials which are not good conductors, what happens is that static electricity produced will be there, that is, it becomes a static on the fabric, and thus when we are stitching it and all, it will cling into to the machinery, and also when we are removing it also, we can see the sparks coming out, tickling sounds come out. That means that it shows that static electricity is present on the fabric, but fortunately cotton does not have that. When you wear the cotton, when you are removing it, you do not find that kind of thing, and also it does not cling to the body, and so it will give a nice feeling just because it is a very good conductor of electricity. But at the same time, there is a precaution that you have to take, and whenever you are drying these materials, and see that the clothes line is not an electrical wire or electrical conductor. If that happens, when you are putting up and by some problem, and if the electricity runs into that wire and it increases several folds, and thus the person who is drying the material and will be having a problem, and they will have the electrical shocks, and so you should take care of these things.